Welcome in, everybody, to the Big Blue Breakdown, episode number 8 here on the podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening here on YouTube and on Spotify. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube if you are here, or if you are listening on Spotify, please follow there as well. Make sure to like and comment here on the YouTube, and also do the same on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to also go check out the social media at BigBlue_Breakdown on Instagram and X. Thank you guys so much for tuning in here to the Big Blue Breakdown. Today, we're previewing the Kentucky Wildcats taking on the Texas A&M Aggies at home. We'll be talking about a little bit of history, just not a lot of connections here, but just a little bit of history. And then we're going to break them down and also talk a little bit about how big of a game this is for the Cats. We're going to talk about the AP Top 25 that updated today and possible win streak for the Cats. So, history. Jaxson Robinson. And it's kind of funny that he did this last game, goes off and has his kind of breakout game, especially scoring-wise. Breaks out for the Cats with 27 and leads the team to a victory, a big win in Starksville, Mississippi. Originally committed to Texas A&M before he transferred to Arkansas, and then before he transferred to BYU. I believe, I don't have the numbers here, I believe he spent 2 years at Texas A&M and then went to Arkansas and then went to BYU. I don't know. Well, because he had 2 years. This is last year, obviously. He spent 2 years at BYU. So, maybe, no. He spent 1 and 1. Because this means it's his 5th year, and I think that's the last year of eligibility. So, 1 year, assuming, at Texas A&M, kind of circle for Jaxson Robinson, which could be a good thing for the Cats. That's really the only history here. Kentucky lost this game last year when they played on the road at Texas A&M in overtime. The most memorable thing about that game is when Reed Sheppard hit 2 free throws. Very, very clutch free throws. He even smiled before he got the ball. Very big moment for him to kind of come out a little bit. We already know what type of player he was, but I just thought that was the most memorable moment, especially from last year playing them. This team, very, very physical team, very defensive-minded team. Buzz Williams is an amazing defensive mind, very analytical, kind of like Mark Pope, but kind of opposite with how analytical he is on which side of the analytics he's on. And that side is more on the defensive side of analytics and rebounding. Now, I'm not saying Mark Pope isn't there, but he specializes in offense and everything that follows with that. Now, this team is a very good rebounding team. They lead all teams in the country in offensive rebounding, and that is what Kentucky has struggled against so far this season. It's kind of a bad matchup. Not the greatest matchup for the Cats, because this is a physical team that Kentucky has struggled against, and this is the best offensive rebounding team that Kentucky is going to play so far, statistically, and with the guys that this team has. But yeah, I really think this is going to be a hard one, but that was kind of your breakdown of history part of this. Jaxson Robinson originally went to 2 SEC schools here and Arkansas, so Arkansas is going to mean something to him also with the fans. So I just think it was kind of cool to break that down there. So, I believe he was there 1920? 19 and 20? 2019 and 2020? Yeah, I believe so. Okay. We got a drink here. Excuse me. But let's talk about how big of a game this is before we break down the Texas A&M Aggies. This game is massive because you have to win at home. I'm not saying this is a must-win or anything like that, but it's kind of got that feeling to it. You should win this game, most importantly, because you're at home. And we know how big of an advantage it is to be at home in the SEC, especially this year. High win percentage in the SEC is coming from home, right? You mix that with they just came off a loss, we just came off a win, which you can kind of flip-flop there because they kind of need it more than we do kind of around the same, right? Both 2-1 in the SEC. But nevertheless, I think that it's a very, very important game because again, I mentioned this in the last episode. Out of the next 3-game stretch, we have Texas A&M, Alabama, Vandy, before we go on the road to Tennessee, right? I'm counting this kind of as a 3-game stretch here, right? I think Texas A&M is going to be the toughest one. The reason why I say that is because their physicality and their contrasting different styles, and I'll get into the reasons why I think Alabama will be an easier matchup, which they won't be easy at all, but I think it's a better matchup for us in that game. Two totally different styles here in this game. I think it's going to be a tough one. But this game, I believe, could send us into a 4-game winning streak at Mississippi State, right? This could be 3 ranked games, three ranked wins in a row at Mississippi State, Texas A&M, and Alabama at home, Vandy on the road. Okay, I'm not saying Vandy's an easy win here at all or anything, or either of these games are. But I just want to talk about how big it is, because it is a game at home that if you don't win, you have to make up on the road, which is really, really tough to do. So it's better to take care of your business at home and more or less to pick off different road games, right? Very, very big game in that aspect, because you get a game at home. You get a shot to have everything for you in this game. So you got to be able to take advantage of that and use that to pull out a win that you should win, that you should have. But most importantly, it's another opportunity. I get to be a top 11 team in the country, top 12 team in the country, and very important for the resume, and very important for SEC standings, SEC tournament, when all that comes around with the SEC tournament. So that's how big this game is, at least for me, because again, that opportunity to take a very big win at home and kind of take it from them, that's why I think it's such a big one. And because it's most SEC games at home this year for different teams are must wins, because they're not going to win any on the road. And I'm not saying that for Kentucky, because we've already won on the road. Kind of have the same mindset here. Kind of have the same mindset to win this one, because it's going to be hard to win on the road. Okay. Let's talk about the Texas A&M Aggies. Going to break down some numbers here first, and then I'll talk about film and all that right there. Okay. 2025 KenPom. Texas A&M is actually ranked in the top 15. Very good for Texas A&M. They're ranked higher than us right now. Kentucky's ranked at 21 in KenPom. Texas A&M is ranked 15th in KenPom, 13-3 overall record. They have the let's see here. Sorry, I lost where I was. They have the 30th ranked offensive of efficiency rating, and then they have the 13th defensive efficiency rating. Very, very good numbers right there for the Texas A&M Aggies. Not to mention, they are also the number one offensive rebounding team in the country. Number one offensive rebounding team in the country. And that's scheme, and that's obviously the players, and that's the mentality for this team. That's what Buzz Williams wants to do. That's what they want to get after, is the offensive boards. Because they're not a great shooting team, and we'll get to more aspects why Kentucky has more advantage on the Texas A&M Aggies in this one, and why offensive rebounding is going to be so important for the Texas A&M Aggies to do in this one if they want to beat us, right? If they want to beat the Kentucky Wildcats. Now, let's talk about some of their players and statistics. I want to start off. Last game, they played Alabama and lost. I forgot to mention their schedule here. Obviously, I just said they're 13-3. They're 2-1 in the SEC. I don't know where their other, I can see here actually, where their other losses came from. Ranked 11th in the AP poll. We'll get to all that later. Now, they had a bad loss to start the year. I won't say it's a bad loss because it was at UCF, but they lost 64-61 at UCF. And then they lost to a pretty solid Oregon team that's kind of gone downhill lately, losing that one by 10, 80-70. But they do have really, really, really big wins on their schedule, such as beating Ohio State, 21st ranked at the time. Also beating 21st ranked at the time, Creighton. And then they beat some pretty good teams like Rutgers, 11th ranked Purdue, 17th ranked Oklahoma as well. Good start for them. Definitely so far. Then they dropped one at home against Alabama. Now, the reason I really like that I want to talk about this Alabama game, very, very similar styles between Kentucky and Alabama. Very similar styles, actually. Both like to get up the floor. Both like to shoot a lot of threes. Both head coaches very analytical. Both are very good on the fly, like drawing up plays. Very good in that aspect, right? So, this is the game that I look at, right? Because we're very similar. I'm not saying that we're the same. I'm not saying that we're the same at all. We're very similar. And similar outcomes could happen in this one, just like they did in the game against Alabama. Again, the reason I say is because they get up the floor, such high scoring. Their defense has been a problem this year, kind of like Kentucky's. I think a little bit more than Kentucky's, actually. So, very similar. Excuse me. I need a drink break here. But very similar between the Cats and the Crimson Tide. So I looked at that game, right? Excuse me. Coughing here. So I looked at that game because, again, the similarities between the two teams here, right? The similarities. Alabama wins the game against Texas A&M 94-88 on the road. On the road, right? There was like 80-some foul shots in this game, which was just absurd. Just absurd, right? Both teams foul trouble, and Alabama's very good at getting to the free throw line. Kentucky's really not that way, but I think Texas A&M can really help us in this game. And I get to those reasons why. Also, I wanted to mention, we always dive into the game. I give you a preview and a prediction, just like I do every time. We usually break down the team, give you a preview, prediction for the game. So if that wasn't on the plan, sorry. But it is every time, obviously, when we have these episodes, that's the main point. But yeah, I looked at that game a lot, right? Another reason why I believe Kentucky has the advantage in this one is because Wade Taylor out of the Alabama game, didn't play. And from what I have heard, there are no signs for him to be playing in this game against the Cats. Let's talk about Wade Taylor a little bit. He's their leading point. He's their leading guard in points, leading player in points. 15.7 a game, basically 16 points a game. And their leading assist man in 4.8 assists a game. That's what I think is going to hurt the Aggies in this one. Not having their lead guard on the road, just dropped one at home against a very similar team without that player and still lost. So a team that is very similar at away now without that player, I think it's going to be really tough for this team. So then you kind of look down after that, okay? Zurich Phelps, another guard here for this team, just right behind Wade Taylor in points, 15.4. He also leads the team in steals, so pretty good defensive guard here for the Aggies. But again, just like last week, just like with all these very physical teams, I think the most important thing to look at, which we're going to look at right here, is their bigs. Okay, I'm going to look at Solomon Washington leading the team in rebounds with 6 on the dot in rebounds, and then Farrell Payne with 1.4 blocks a game. Kentucky has struggled with having their shot blocked. It affected them in a lot of ways in the Clemson game, so gotta watch out for him there. Three guys that I want to. There are two guys that I want to mention here. Henry Coleman, averaging 8.6, a very physical, big guy in the posts. Again, not a magnificent scorer, but is very physical. You've seen that where those guys have excelled in games like this against Kentucky and have scored a lot more than they have on the regular basis in the season. Then again, I get guys like Solomon Washington, not going to put up a lot of points. Very good rebounder, though. Again, those guys kind of excel in this. And then Anderson Garcia. Played against them last year. Also played against. Is it the Washington kid that we also played against last year? No. It was Henry Coleman. Yeah, Henry Coleman. Yeah, 8.6 points a game for Henry Coleman, 5.3 rebounds. So they get everybody in there, right? Now, they're a little undersized at big men, like height-wise. That's where I believe Kentucky can take an advantage there with Brandon Garrison and obviously Amari Williams. But are they going to be a problem with grabbing boards? That's the biggest thing. Can Kentucky be physical enough to grab boards in this game? Boards, I mean defensive boards. Don't let them get second chance opportunities. Number one, because they're not very good shooting team overall. So you limit them to one shot a possession. It's going to be very hard for this team to keep up with us. This team is averaging 77 points a game, but I think we can very much cause some trouble if we keep this team off the boards. And they send everybody in to crash the boards. Everybody. They got physicality, they got strength, they got the big enough dudes to do it. And they're efficient at it, very efficient at it. So that's a big part for this Texas A&M Aggie success, right? Another guy, again, Anderson Garcia, who I am talking about, only averaging 5 points a game. They only have two guys in double digits. But again, that offensive rebounding is what really drives this team, right? So 5 points for Anderson Garcia. He is also averaging 5.6 rebounds a game, 1.3 assists, and 50% from the field. 6'7", 220 pounds. Again, the height down there for them is not the greatest. Like Henry Coleman, I mentioned there. I saw him in Washington. I want to see how tall he is real quick. 6'7" again. And they've had this is a very experienced team. Don't let me get very, very experienced teams. Very experienced team. Excuse me. Very. So that's really the breakdown of them. The key points here is this team is very good defensive team and rebounding. What teams that Kentucky struggled against? Those type of teams. Right? Those type of teams. Advantages for Kentucky. Number one, probably no Wade Taylor. Number two, you get this game at home. Number three, if you play your style of play, they won't be able to keep up with you because they're not a great shooting team. They don't have many elite scorers outside of Wade Taylor and Zerk. Zerk is going to be their only guy. And then the reason I like it is because Lamont's going to be on him. So there's not going to be two really elite guards out there. I like it for us, especially in this game at home. I don't know what the line is right now for this game. I don't know if it's posted yet. I don't know. I don't know what the line is. I'm assuming it's going to be 3 to 5 range for the Cats, just because mainly it's at home, right? Mainly because it is at home. So I'm going to give you a preview and prediction, and then we're going to jump into the top 25 quickly, and then we're also going to go to possible win streak, which we've basically already covered. We're going to talk about it just one more time, and then we will hop off here in episode number 8. Thank you guys so much for listening again. This means so much. Got a lot of attention starting this YouTube channel, and thank you guys so much for the views and the likes, and especially just coming in and listening. It means a lot. And on Spotify, same thing. Thank you. It means a ton both ways. Thank you guys so much for doing that. Continue to do that for me, please. Thank you. So, preview here. What are some keys? I always do 4 keys, right? I always end up getting 4 keys. I'm going to write them down here, just like I do every time. 4 keys for the Cats. 4 keys. Number 1, get defensive rebounds. Right? Number 2, I've said it over and over and over again. I'll continue saying it. Hit 10 threes. Shoot 40% from the field because, again, that's the magic number for the Cats. You shoot 40% or above it, Kentucky wins. You shoot below 40%, Kentucky gets lost. Magic number for us. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's that number. We shoot 40%, we win ball games. Shoot 40%, right? From the field. Okay. So we have one more. I'm going to go... What should I put here for this last one? Hit free throws. Hit free throws. I think that'll mean a lot in this one. Mean a ton in this game because they foul a lot, because they're so physical. Hit your free throw shots. I believe you can win this one if you keep them off the offensive boards. I think guys like Lamar are going to be big in this one. Possibly not locking him up, but being very effective on their guards. Amari Williams is going to be huge again. Brandon Garrison and his presence in there. Andrew Carr, who's another type of big. Ansley Almanar. So those kind of 4 guys rotating in and out, very big to me. And guys that I think can have a big game from this one. I think obviously Kobe Bryant and Jackson Robinson can go off any night. Guys that have been consistent like Otega Owe. I think Otega could have a huge game in this one because I think matchup against him is going to be pretty good for us. So same thing on the defensive end. Pretty good defensive matchup going against the Aggies. I think I could see him bursting and having a big game because I think he can match their physicality driving to the basket. He probably he drew like 6 fouls last game. I can see him kind of doing the same thing here, getting a lot of his points from the free throw line and from layups, dunks, steals. I could very much seeing this happen. So, again, the preview here is Kentucky has to be physical. This is a very physical team, right? You got to get defensive rebounds. You got to shoot. To me, you got to hit 10 threes, okay? You got to shoot for 40% because obviously that's been the magic number, and hit free throws because they're such a physical team, they're going to foul, right? My last kind of thing here to say is Rupp is going to be on fire all the time, right? It has been all year. I think that's going to be a big key for the Cats to win. The Cats are hot right now, shooting-wise, especially at home. They have been. We've seen this type of matchup before. Obviously not this elite rebounding. Kind of going the same recipe. Just keep getting better at it, right? And lastly, I think them not having Wade Taylor is going to affect them so much. Wade Taylor out. I think it's big time for the Cats. My prediction: the Cats make it 5 in a row against AP top 25 teams and specifically AP top 15 teams. 4-0. I like the Cats to get a pretty solid win here at home. Give me this is actually hard. 85-75. 10-point win for the Cats. Just because I think we can control the style of play here. I really think we can. And with that being said, I think we can control it. We can hit our shots. Rupp's going to be on fire. They can change momentum if we need it to be changed. And with Wade Taylor being out, I like it for the Cats. 10-point win. Free throws coming in clutch for us. Give me Otega Owe as my MVP. Last thing here is Kentucky drops down 2 in the AP Top 25 poll. Excuse me. I don't mind it. I don't mind it because we had not a bad loss, but it wasn't the greatest loss. On the road to Georgia, get a big-time win against Mississippi State. I don't hate it. Still in the top 10. We're at 8th. Obviously, Texas A&M is ranked 11th, so a top 12 matchup here for the Cats at home. So I don't mind the ranking drop. Auburn jumps up to number 1. I believe like Tennessee drops down to like 5th or something like that. Believe there. I'll go see here. I'll just cover the top 10 here. I won't go all in depth here. There's no really point. No point really. I just want to tell you how many SEC teams are in the top 25 or in the top 10. Excuse me. I'll do the top 25 we'll do it. Number 1, Auburn jump up there. Alabama jumps up 1 to number 4. So you got 2 teams in the top 4 from the SEC. 1 being Auburn, 4 being Alabama. 5, Florida jumping up 3 after basically their dominating performance against Tennessee and defeating Arkansas, right? And obviously losing to the Cats, but big-time win for them on the road at Arkansas. Tennessee jumps down to 6, jumps down 5 spots. So you got, and then Kentucky at 8th. They dropped down 2 from 6, so they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Half of the top 10 is SEC. And then right outside the top 10 is number 11. Texas A&M dropping 1 after losing to Alabama, right? Then you got Mississippi State that drops down 1 from losing to the Cats at home. They drop down to 15th. And then here, 21 is Ole Miss. They jump 2 after beating LSU and I believe Vandy as well. Not quite sure if that's the exact one. I don't know. So is that 5? Is that 5? And then 8. Georgia jumps into the top 25, jumping to 23rd in the rankings after beating Kentucky and Oklahoma, 2 ranked teams. Oklahoma drops out. So I'm guessing I'm counting 9 here. 9 teams in the top 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 9 teams in the top 25 are SEC. I just wanted to mention that, give you guys a quick update there. Kentucky drops down 2, which I'm not really mad at. I think we can really boost that after possibly 2 big wins here this week. Last thing is possible win streak. Again, yes, I said it earlier. I really covered it earlier. I think we can win tomorrow, even with it being the toughest challenge, because the contrasting styles. And I believe Alabama plays into our favor because of the home advantage, because of the way they play. They play just like us, and that has worked in our favor. When Mississippi State tried to go up and down the floor against us, it just didn't work. We were able to control everything like that. But yeah, I have Kentucky winning 85-75. I see a 10-point win here for the Cats. I like it. I think we win this one and possibly win the Alabama one. So giving us three top 25 wins in a row. It'll be two in a row for the next AP top 25 poll to come out. It obviously depends on what teams do above us. I can see us jumping up, being a top 4. Alabama plays Ole Miss. I see them beating them. They probably stay the same after that type of win. They'll be 4th no matter what. Could Cats jump into the top 5? Possibly. Cats could jump into the top 5 after 2 big wins, possibly. But yeah, this is going to wrap up. Excuse me, my sniffles. This is going to wrap up episode 8 here on the YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for listening. And thank you guys so much for listening on Spotify as well, or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to download or listen all the way through on Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow there and comment and subscribe on the YouTube channel and like as well. You can also follow us on the social media on Instagram and X at BigBlue_breakdown. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 8 here on the podcast. And go Cats.